Today is day 68 of the 1 year fast. I'm about 46 hours into a 48-hour fast. Again, the protocol for the 1 year fast is for me to fast for 3 days per week for 52 consecutive weeks, and I choose the days during the week, so they vary from week to week. And this week I fasted on Monday for 24 hours, then yesterday and today for a combined 48 hours. And I'm just coming to the end of that 48-hour fast, which is a good time for measuring my ketones. Now, last week I did a 72-hour fast, and I got quite high levels of breath-based and blood-based ketone readings, deep into a high-level nutritional therapeutic ketosis. The week prior, I did a 48-hour fast, and I got really low levels of both, so almost non-existent ketosis. So it's going to be interesting today to just see what level of ketosis I have after 46 hours. I'm only going to use the breath-based analyzer today. I've run out of those Lancets for the blood-based. So breath-based ketone reader, really easy to use. Press the button, get a countdown, get down to 0, there's a beep, blow into the ketone reader for about 10 seconds. Second beep, you get your reading. And I have a level 4. Level 4, according to the guide, is in ketosis, but it's really mild ketosis. So I would hope for a higher number after 46 hours fasting, but that's what it is. So as I'm coming to the end of that 48-hour fast, I'm feeling alert, I'm feeling ready to work out, and then of course ready to break my fast. And later I'll break my fast with a usual. I have a protein-based smoothie with plant-based protein powder. I add to that some fruit, and then of course, as I've mentioned many times, a good heap of spirulina. So that will break my fast, and then I may have some solid food as well a bit later. As I mentioned, next week I'm going to fast 3 separate days, so 3 24-hour fasts next week, probably Monday, Wednesday and Friday, or potentially Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday. I'll make my mind up on Saturday. Feeling good, moving along, coming to the end of week 10, stepping into week 11, and yeah, feeling positive. So as I've said before, one of the main reasons, if not the core reason for these videos, is for me to have a documented record to try and pick up on any emotional, mental, psychological, spiritual indicators. So just try and tease out those small indicators each day via these videos so we can have a holistic understanding of not just my physical health, but also my emotional health, mental health, psychological health, and yes, spiritual health. Package it all together, and then hopefully come the end of the 1 year fast, look at all of that data and perform some analysis, and then conclude, is the 1 year fast positive or not so positive? Hopefully have enough data to make that assessment. So based upon these videos, I take moments of reverie, reflect again, and then again, hopefully tease out some indicators. So today I was thinking about fasting from a perspective of penance. So historically, it seems they're a bit of a negative connotation. So rather than looking at fasting and penance having negative connotations, I like to try to look at fasting and a form of penance in a positive light. And how do we do that? So we could say with fasting, it's about intentional discipline, it's about reflection, it's about gratitude, and ultimately it's about renewal. So renewal not just in terms of maybe autophagy, not just physical renewal, but renewal in terms of emotional well-being and of course spiritual health. So by undertaking a fast, by going through a fast, you really do have an opportunity to embrace that renewal. And I think that's really, really important for us as human beings to have that opportunity. And again, the one-year fast was initiated on the 21st of June, the summer solstice, really intentionally, because it's all about renewal. Summer solstice, all about renewal. So how do we renew ourselves? How do we forgive ourselves? So that penance, if you like, is not a negative undertaking. It's quite positive. It allows for that purging of negativity and low vibration. And then if you lay on top of that, I firmly believe that when you fast, so you stop feeding the body, then at that moment you start to feed the soul, you start to feed the spirit through abstinence of food. You start to focus more on a higher plane. I'm not proposing that I'm able to elevate, not at all. It just helps me at my low level to focus more on the soul and the spirit when I'm not consuming food, not so focused on the body. So, of course, fasting is really good physically. Ketosis, autophagy, really helps. Some people use it for weight loss. I'm not sure whether that's a good idea, but some people do. So physically it can help us, but also it helps us very much spiritually. It helps our soul. Fasting feeds the soul. Yeah. So that's some of my belief. Take it or leave it. And also within that framework. So I often think about an apology list. So I often think about my mistakes. We all make mistakes, and I make loads of mistakes. And how do we put those mistakes? And sometimes it can be more than a mistake. It can be intentional hurtfulness. It can be intentional harm that we all commit, at a low level or a high level. So what is a good way to negate some of that negativity? I find, and I believe, that having an apology list. So when I make a mistake, when I offend somebody, when I do some harm, write that down on an apology list, maybe once every quarter. Recollect the harm that you've done, write it down, acknowledge it. It's very important to acknowledge it, and then take that paper and either bury it or burn it as a way of moving on. So I think that's quite good too. That's a good way to help alleviate some of the stress of life. Yeah, okay. So fasting and penance, I've made a webpage on oneyearfast.com, so we can take a look at that. I believe it's a very profound topic. So yeah, coming back to the 1 year fast, again, just about coming to the end of this week's fasting. This is week 10, week 11, I'm going to fast on 3 individual days. And again, that's purposeful because in week 12, I intend fasting for 3 days in a row, which is going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then week 13, again, fasting on 3 days in a row, which will be Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So week 12 and week 13, I'm having a combined 6-day fast. And that should be really interesting in terms of taking the ketone readings with, again, the breath-based and also the blood-based ketone readers. Yeah, okay, so day 68, feeling good, feeling alert, feeling pretty sharp, energized, in tune. Looking forward to breaking the fast in an hour or so. I will try and do a workout, a very light workout, maybe some aerobics. And yeah, feeling good. Okay, thank you.